Welcome back to Summon Tesla. Look at this, man. It is raining, it is pouring, it is absolutely annoying. Much like Consumer Reports. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. If not, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Consumer Reports and some of the boneheaded things that these guys have done. In my opinion, they've actually done probably the dumbest thing a company can do. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I think if you're new here, I think it's going to be important for me to tell you, number one, I am a Tesla shareholder. Number two, obviously I have a Tesla. I have a Tesla Model S 100D, and I've had this car for 3 years. In those 3 years, I've driven this car as much as I possibly could, literally on autopilot. With recent events happening on the news, and especially with obviously what happened in Texas, Consumer Reports did along with everyone else these days, but Consumer Reports did a massive boneheaded move. They came out and they made a video and they made articles talking specifically about how to trick Tesla's autopilot safety features for the purposes of God knows what. And I think it was supposed to be as a response video to, you have to be in your driver, you have to be in a seat, you have to have your seatbelt on in order to activate autopilot. I think what Consumer Reports didn't talk about so much was the fact that laws can be broken, rules can be broken, and safety features, no matter what, can always be bypassed on any vehicle. I don't care what it is. I don't care what vehicle you come up with. If there's a safety feature in play, you can always find a way to bypass it. Now, these boneheads came out and made a video showing clearly that you don't have to be in the driver's seat in order for autopilot to be activated. But I would like to point out exactly how they did this. And the way they did this is they went down, they basically went on the street, they activated autopilot, they used the scroll wheel on their, to reduce the speed all the way down to 0. Once the vehicle came to a stop, they put weight on the steering wheel, and then they basically left the seat by tricking the system with regards to making sure that the seatbelt is still plugged in, connected, specifically so that they can get out of the seat. In other words, they had to make sure that the seatbelt was still plugged in. So there was this process of going through these particular steps. Once they got into the passenger seat, then they reached over and increased the speed of autopilot. Hence, now the car was driving on autopilot without a driver in the seat. This is probably the dumbest freaking thing I've ever seen. And here's my thing. Not only did they go through the process of showing this, they went through the trouble of tricking the system, and they went through a pretty decent process of tricking the system. By the way, they said that this system was very simple. And then they went out of their way to talk about actually giving advice to Tesla, where what we think Tesla should do is what the other companies are doing, with cameras monitoring where your face looks. So the competition here has one thing that you have to do for the competition. In a Tesla, you have to basically be in your seat, seatbelt on, and basically make sure that you're touching the steering wheel whenever it asks you to touch the steering wheel. The monitoring system is very good. With the competition, it's basically there's this camera looking at you, and if you're not looking at the straight ahead, you're not watching the road, it's gonna notify you. And here's my problem with the camera looking at me. I am not Consumer Reports here, so I'm not gonna tell you guys how you can trick that, but yes, you can actually trick that really easy and much faster. I would say within a matter of seconds I can do that without going through the process of weights and sneaking out of the seat and making sure this is all plugged in and all that crap. So you have to ask yourself, why would Consumer Reports do this? Why would they go out of their way to show people how to trick a safety system, essentially putting people at risk? Because you know there's another bonehead out there that can afford a Tesla. And because he can afford a Tesla, what he's gonna do is he's gonna go, or she, that particular bonehead is now gonna use Consumer Reports tricks to pull off a stupid combination of driving that car without being in the seat. You know, my problem is Consumer Reports did the worst possible thing they could have done. And this is strictly my opinion, they not only showed the general public how to bypass a security system, a safety feature, but they also went through the trouble of, well, breaking the law in order to do this. None of what they did is legal. And then they have the nerve to talk about the manufacturer being responsible for the stupidity of what they did. In other words, Tesla's supposed to, basically come up with a way to prevent that kind of stupidity, that kind of ignorance. It's very frustrating. After 3 years of driving my car, after using autopilot literally every chance I get, I love using autopilot, I have never had a problem. I've never had an issue where my safety or the safety of others on the road was at risk. I've made countless videos on autopilot. The safety feature is incredible, as long as you do as you're asked to do. Tesla makes very, very, very simple requests. Sit in your chair, put on your seatbelt, and relax. Once in a while, the car is going to ask you to touch the steering wheel. Do it. That basically tells the car you're all good and everything's fine and dandy. It's really not that hard. It's pretty straightforward. But that's also the condition that you agree to when you activate autopilot. It's not that difficult. You already agreed to that. So having Consumer Reports do all this, what happened here? And why did they even bother going through this process? Well, number one, it's ignorance. They wanted to cash in on getting the views, getting the readers, hence getting the advertisers. And by the way, if anybody tells me Consumer Reports is a non-profit organization, go suck it, all right? This was the only reason you would go through this extent and compare it to a horribly easy system to trick, by the way. It's just idiotic. There's nothing that makes sense here. None of this makes sense. So I have to ask, why would Consumer Reports go through this trouble? What would be their purpose of literally going through this step of breaking the rules, going up against the safety features, basically doing everything that they did that they're not supposed to do? If you did this on the road, it's illegal to do this stuff, right? First of all, you can't be out of your seat. And there's at no point did Tesla make sure they make it clear enough. You have to be in your seat. There's nothing that makes sense here. And to a Tesla owner like myself, and I see the safety features, I see how many times this car did some crazy things to prevent an accident. You got somebody like Consumer Reports talking like absolute crap. And you know what the funniest thing is? Even though there was no driver in the seat, their own test on a track, it performed flawlessly. As in, the car didn't do anything bad despite the stupidity and an absolute brain dead maneuver that these idiots pulled. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that feels like this. One of the key things that you'll never see Tesla owner, a smart or semi-smart, even guys like me, do is explain to you how to trick the systems, despite the fact that we might know this stuff, especially YouTubers. Now, if you have a YouTuber that's going to be dumb enough to explain this, you know what? Stop watching the guy. Obviously, he doesn't give a damn about anybody. Go watch the Consumer Reports video. You'll see what they did. but don't do what they did. But at the same time, see the ignorance, see the absolute crap that these guys did in order to get views. Look, there's a million things that you can do in this world to get views. This is not one of them. This is horrible. They're trying to prove something that they literally tried to prove, that you can have Tesla Autopilot active without a driver in the seat. And the only way they could do that is by breaking every rule that they did. And it wasn't, I like that one point where they actually say how easy and simple it is. Just look at the things that they had to do. It's anything but easy and simple. The fact that they had to go through that process of actually coming up with, trying to give advice to Tesla of all people, you know, if with regards to how to fix it, which by the way doesn't need fixing, because if you're stupid enough to break the rules and you're going to bypass safety features, whatever happens to you, you deserve it. And I mean that. I'm sorry for everybody out there who ever got injured, but if you are the kind of person who's going to go against, you know, you're the kind of person who's going to disable safety features put in place to protect you, whatever happens to you, you deserve it. Safety should be always your number one priority when you're driving. I don't care if you're on autopilot. I don't care if your grandma's driving. I don't care what's going on. When you are behind the wheel, you are responsible, man. And I said this back 3 years ago when I first started this channel. Don't blame Tesla for stupidity, because Tesla has one heck of a system in place. The only time that system doesn't work is when boneheads find ways to bypass that system. And trust me, there's nothing Tesla can do to help that. There's no manufacturer that could do anything to help that. You know why? Well, if there's a will, there's a way. That's how life works. Always. There's not one single or ever has been that I know of safety feature that's been implemented that cannot be bypassed. Every safety feature can be bypassed. Consumer Reports, go suck it. You absolute boneheads. You just told people how to do this. You literally just told people how to bypass a safety feature. And if anybody gets injured from that, if some other moronic, dumb idiot watches your video and tries that and they get injured, that's on you. And I hope you get held responsible for that. I really do. It's disgusting. Frankly, it's horrible. And coming up with the idea of comparing Tesla's safety features to, I mean, the competition, especially the one you guys mentioned. Yeah, I'd love to know how many bags of money you got from them. And don't tell me you didn't get any, because I'm willing to bet you got quite a bit. You boneheads just told people how to do something severely illegal. And I know what you're gonna say. Well, we made sure we tell people that, please do not try this. This is illegal. You know what? That freaking disclaimer doesn't do anything. The disclaimer is not there as your safety net. Just because you tell people not to do it doesn't mean they won't, especially when you clearly show how to do it. I'm really hoping that people out there, the general public, has a lot more brain cells than you guys do. Because if anybody tries the scrap that you guys showed off, people are going to get injured. And that's all going to be on you guys. Suck it, guys. I'm done with this video.